Hello, I'm Lauren. Today I will be talking about hurricanes in Connecticut. The main question I am focusing on is how hurricanes affect Connecticut in both the long term and short term. The Oxford Dictionary describes hurricanes as a storm with powerful wind, in particular a tropical storm in the Caribbean. Hurricanes cause devastation everywhere they go, and I want to know what they do to Connecticut. Before we can talk about hurricane effects, we need to know what causes hurricanes. There are four main causes of hurricanes. The first is pre-existing weather conditions. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says that hurricanes often start out as a tropical wave. The second cause is warm water. The National Weather Service has shown that the water must be above 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit for a hurricane to form. The third reason for hurricanes is recent thunderstorm activity. The American Museum of Natural History explains that in the beginning of a hurricane formation, several large thunderstorms cluster together. Earth's rotation causes the wind to swirl around its center, and wind speeds begin to increase. Lastly, for hurricanes to form, they need low wind shear. Once again, the National Weather Service explains why this is required for formation of hurricanes. They explain that strong upper-level winds destroy the storm structure by displacing the warm air above the eye, limiting the vertical extent of air parcels. With all of these things working against the formation of hurricanes, it's a wonder that they ever get strong enough to affect so much. First off, we will go through the climatic effects. The long-term climatic effects we have are coastal flooding. Many news channels in Connecticut have mentioned its old infrastructure. Connecticut is an old state, unfortunately, that leads to old infrastructure, which has led to an increased risks of flash flooding and more long-term flooding than previously. This can lead to the destruction of coastal habitats and erode dune systems. The first short-term effect is similar to the long-term: inland flooding. This is another problem related to the lack of infrastructure in Connecticut. Water makes its way inland and doesn't have a fast enough route to oceans or lakes. This can cause a loss of wildlife, damage to natural habitats, and loss of plant life, which are all hard to recover from. Second under the short-term effects is storm surges. Storm surges are described by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration as a rise in sea level due to a storm. These can cause massive flooding both coastal and inland. They exist around the time of a large ocean storm, but they often take the lives of people trying to evacuate the area. These terrifying climatic effects are incredibly hard to recover from. Now we'll look at hurricane surface effects. Surface effects are described as most things involving the biosphere and lithosphere. Sediment deposits on coral are the first long-term effect. Waves during hurricanes take in more sand from beaches and other land sources. Oftentimes this will lead to sediment deposits on coral reefs. An article from Frontiers.org by Caroline Rogers and Carlos Ramos Sharon states that sediment on coral can lead to smothering, abrasion, shading, and inhibition of coral recruitment. All of these things can lead to the death of coral and the death of whole coral reefs, which is detrimental to the ocean life as a whole and is very challenging to recover from. The second long-term effect is loss of flora. Due to events like wind ripping trees out of the ground and rivers taking out small bushes and plants and the algae being flushed by rapid waters, the amount of flora after a hurricane is often less than it was prior. While some plants are grown quickly, large trees take hundreds of years to grow, and ultimately that affects air population and homes for animals. The first short-term effect is the injuries incurred by slow-moving marine life during a hurricane. The National Ocean Service tells us that slow-moving fish and turtles in shellfish beds are often disseminated by rough undercurrents and rapid changes in water temperature and salinity wrought on by hurricanes. However, as many of us have seen, this isn't the only way animals get hurt by hurricanes. Many fish wash up on shore and suffocate. However, these damages aren't going to last very long as fish heal and repopulate. The second short-term effect is landslide. Landslides are caused by overly saturated soil with little to no root support. These last from a few seconds to a couple minutes depending on the incline and height of the hill. These can take the lives of unsuspecting people and do massive infrastructure damage. However, these are short-term effects compared to the long-term effects. The last thing we will be learning about is the long and short-term subsurface effects of hurricanes. Mountain erosion is the first long-term effect of hurricanes. Although mountains often destroy the structural integrity of hurricanes, hurricanes can do the same. As previously mentioned, hurricanes cause landslides, which cause large amounts of erosion from mountains. However, this is not the only way hurricanes do damage to mountains. The strong long-term winds of hurricanes slowly erode on mountains they come in contact with, which can never be reversed. The short-term effect is an increase in groundwater salinization. A study recorded by the AGU Advancing Earth and Space Science website shows that there is an increase in groundwater salinization during and shortly after a hurricane. This can affect drinking water, however, it seems to desalinate after a couple of days. Overall, hurricanes can do severe damage to the environments they come in contact with. Connecticut is no exception and has seen many hurricanes and felt their ravages. Thank you for listening and have a great day.